Hello everyone, and I've got a bit of a confession to make. I quite like Call of Duty, Black Ops, Cold War, and I'm surprised as you are because I haven't really liked. I say I like a Call of Duty game. I actually like every aspect of it, including the multiplayer, the campaign, and the zombies. What the hell is wrong with me? The last Call of Duty multiplayer I really played was Ghosts, and it was terrible. It was awful. Before that, it's probably Black Ops 1 was the last Call of Duty game I really enjoyed on this kind of level, the multiplayer at least. But yeah, I can't explain why. Now I've been playing the PC version. I haven't played any of the console versions of it. But yeah, I really do like it. The PC port, I should say, is excellent. I've got to say, there's four different options for DLSS on it. It also supports NVIDIA Reflex as well, which is nice. It does have a bit of an advantage over the console players because it is cross-play. The multiplayer, so it is a bit of an advantage. You can put DLSS on. There's four settings for DLSS. If you don't count off, that's not including off. There'd technically be 5 settings if we counted off, but you can have ultra performance, performance, balanced, and quality. I prefer performance mode personally, 1440p in performance mode. At ultra graphics settings, you get between 120 and 150 FPS in multiplayer. Pretty damn good, it's pretty damn sweet. It does give you a nice advantage. Of course, you do have the choice of input device on the PC, keyboard and mouse, or controller. Now, in answer to the argument, which is better, mouse and keyboard or controller, I have to say there's a bit of an open-ended answer to that. It depends on the situation. I will say for most situations, the keyboard and mouse is superior, and I have done better with keyboard and mouse, and all the footage you're looking at is keyboard and mouse. But I did try a controller. There are certain instances where a controller does have an advantage. Close range combat is a good example of where the controller does come in quite handy, because the mouse is just a little too... It's a little too finicky to do that, especially when you're playing against console players with their snap to target. It just can't, the mouse you just can't quite react in the same way as you can with a controller, I feel. But certainly at long range, if you're a sniper, oh, definitely, the mouse and keyboard has such an advantage. At long range, middle distance, it's not too bad, they're about even. Overall, I would say mouse and keyboard's better. For long range and middle distance. Close range combat though, you're better off with a controller, because Call of Duty is not the most accurate of games. You don't have to really aim to hit things. You can shoot people anywhere, and that really doesn't matter at close range, whereas at long and middle distance you're more likely to aim for the head, and you do get a hit bonus for aiming for the head, but with the time to kill being so short, you as well just aiming for anywhere you can get. The amount of times you see the playback of your death and it's like you're getting shot in the legs, and it's like, I'm trying to aim for the head here. Like, surely you should get way more damage doing a headshot and way less damage for getting shot in the legs. But anyway, it does work out that way, but it just the time to kill is so short that it really, if you get a bead on someone first, it doesn't really matter what they do, because if you shoot first, you tend to get the kill. And that's always been the case with Call of Duty. Yeah, but I think that you do get the slight advantage of running at the higher frame rates on the PC. I don't know if the next gen consoles do have 120 Hz mode, but I have had it's quite interesting playing against console players, because it is cross-play. It tells you on the menu when you start, you'll see like a PlayStation logo or an Xbox logo or the Battle.net logo, because you can only get it on Battle.net because it's an Activision game. You'll see that logo to see who you're playing against, and honestly, I think it's pretty decent though. I mean, some people don't like crossplay. You can turn it off if you want, but then it just takes longer to find a match, really. I would rather have a match with more people But I think it is fair. It is fair. I mean, PC does have that slight advantages. The console with its snap to target again has that advantage at close range. You just can't react fast enough at close range with the mouse. I find even at the high frame rate, even with NVIDIA Reflex, which I turned on. I've never tried it with it off, and I don't know why you'd want to turn it off because again, apparently it improves the latency there, so it gives you less latency, and it's said to give you an advantage in multiplayer. I've never personally noticed it, but I've never turned it off, so I'm gonna leave it on. It was on by default. If you've got I don't know if it works for every NVIDIA card. I don't know if it's just the RTX card. Certainly it works on the 30 series. It does work also on the 20 series. Still running the 2070 Super, I should point out. But yeah, I really kind of enjoy it. I like the M16. A lot of people saying it is overpowered, but it is quite nice. It does have its limitations though, the M16. It's like everything else, you got to use it in balance, with anything else. At middle to long range, it's actually quite nice. It gives you quite an advantage. At short range, again, the MP5 is usually a better choice for short to middle distance. The MP5 again suffers at long range, so if you want to do some long range combat, some of the maps are quite big, I will say. For the player count, I do find that you run around a lot of times not finding anyone to shoot a lot of the times. I think that is a little bit weird. I haven't played much of the campaign now. The campaign is okay so far. I kind of like the idea is you're gonna have to go through the things and find evidence. That's kind of cool. I think I've done the first few levels. I did the one where you're on the rooftops and you can throw the guy off the roof. That's quite nice. You've got like a kind of story elements that you can change. So I guess there's replayability there. The zombies mode is nice. Probably played that the least of all the modes. I played the multiplayer the most, which is it surprised me because normally I'm not a big multiplayer. Yes, I'm not a big multiplayer guy. The last I think big multiplayer game that we played was probably Black Ops 1, maybe the original Titanfall. That was the last time we were really into multiplayer games, so I'm surprised that I'm really enjoying the multiplayer. The campaign is, just as you would expect. There's some kind of interesting new features in the campaign, which is interesting. I've never tried the ray tracing, I should point out. I've never turned that on. What I would like to see, the only thing I would like to see from a sort of PC port standpoint is to have separate graphics settings for the campaign and the multiplayer, because your priorities are different. In the campaign, you don't mind running native resolution because, who cares? As long as the frame rate's above 60, who cares, really? Whereas the multiplayer, your priority is frame rate. And that's where that's where the 4 DLSS settings really come in handy. I think they're really decent there, depending on your GPU. DLSS is a huge advantage for PC gaming. Everyone talks about ray tracing as being like the game changer. I really think that DLSS has a bigger impact on certainly the game's performance. It is a massive benefit to you because you get between 60 and 100 FPS at 1440p ultra settings on the 2070 Super, whereas with DLSS, you're getting like 120 to 150. I'll just leave the frame rate uncapped. We could cap it at like 144 because we've got 144 hertz. I've got 144 hertz monitor, the refresh rate there. So we could cap that if I wanted to, but that would be I like to let it run. You do get a bit of screen tearing, but you can put up with that. The NVIDIA Reflex, I'll need to try NVIDIA Reflex off. That's what I'm gonna have to try, and just to see if there's any difference there. But I do like the control options that are available. I think it is a really nice PC port. You get the choice. You can't switch between them. You have to pick mouse and keyboard or controller because it won't let you. You don't get the snap to target auto aim on the PC as well if you play with a controller. So that is a slight disadvantage, but it really doesn't make a huge difference. The mouse and keyboard, obviously, you don't need the snap to target auto aim. Because the mouse is just way more flexible. But anyway, let me know what you think about Black Ops Cold War. It was a game I never really expected to enjoy, to be honest. I just went into it thinking, it's another Call of Duty. While I was waiting to get my PS5, I thought I'll just buy it on PC and I'll just have a go at it and see what it's like. But I never expected to actually enjoy it. as much as I did. And I'm not the best at it, I gotta be honest with you, but you know, to me it seems fair. Like when I've died, I'm like, well, fair enough. The person saw me first. I don't think there's anything really cheap or cheesy about the game. I don't really feel. I feel like when I've been killed fairly. Like, oh well, okay, I've been spotted first, or okay, snapped to the target and shot me, that person. I don't feel that there's anything massively unbalanced about it. Some people are saying it is a bit unbalanced, like the MP5 and the M16 are unbalanced. But to me, they do have their positives and they have their negatives. Like, I like the MP5. I'm a big fan. I always like an MP5 submachine gun. I use it in a lot of shooters, to be honest with you. I like it as a good gun. The M16 is nice, but it has a very low fire rate. It does a lot of damage. If you're very accurate with the M16, you can do a lot of damage if you get a lot of headshots. However, if you're at close range with someone with a submachine gun, the person with the submachine gun is going to have the advantage, or or if they've got a shotgun or something at close range, obviously they're going to have that advantage there. So each kind of thing has their advantage and disadvantage, and that is balance. You shouldn't just be going in expecting the best gun in the game to do everything. I like the way the MP5 is kind of useless at long range, but it is very useful at short range, short to middle distance, is where most of the combat takes place in Call of Duty. You should point out is short to middle distance combat. It's not really a long range game, although some of these maps are, again, we said previously, they're quite big. I think they could do with smaller maps, or increasing the player count would be nice, just to see. It would probably have an impact on performance though if they increase the player count. Just as because you seem to run around for a long time without seeing another player. So to me, I think they're a bit big. They're not as bad as Ghosts maps. Ghosts maps are way too open, I always felt. So you would just get sniped from halfway across the map. Really, the best way to play was with a sniper rifle in Ghosts, because you had long, open-ended maps. They're not so open. There's plenty of strategically placed like buses and vehicles and things, just to sort of. I like the Moscow map. That's one of my favorite ones. There's always a strategically placed like buses and cars and things, so you can hide behind there. And that makes sense, so that you can't just get sniped all the time from over the other end of the map. That would make snipers really unbalanced, I feel. But anyway, we went on long enough about Black Ops Cold War. So thank you for joining me for this video, and we'll see you again soon, and goodbye.